I think there are a lot of people that think that Justin Herbert could be the pick for the Miami Dolphins over Tua next week when the draft rolls around. Again, you never know until it actually happens. And there's a lot of smoke screens going up, but Justin Herbert is somebody that teams really like, and it seems like he's going to go pretty high in this draft. And Tua's a great player, and there does remain that medical question mark surrounding him, as great as he is. And he's going to be a high pick. Justin Herbert's going to be a high pick. But it seems like when it comes to Miami, there's been a little bit more buzz about Justin Herbert than Tua, and we'll find out how real that buzz is next week. But certainly Mel's aboard, Laura's aboard, and you're hearing a lot of people like that think the Dolphins are more on Justin Herbert than they are at Tua, which is kind of funny considering all the talk that there's been about Miami and Tua, tanking for Tua, going back over a year for this. And here we are at that moment, and maybe they really didn't tank for Tua. Maybe they got just in line for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, and maybe they just will ultimately be frightened off by the medicals. The reason I say it's a surprise is that I feel like through so much of this process, we've been wondering, like on normal days, I might ask you, are the Dolphins going to have to trade up to 3 to get Tua? I think our analytics still views the likeliest spot for Tua to go in this draft as number 3 overall. So that's the piece of this that surprises me.
But Greeny, just because we're saying that right now, just because we're hearing buzz, doesn't mean that that's going to be the way that it unfolds a week from Thursday night. You hear a lot of things, and then things change at the last moment. So buzz is one thing, and what actually unfolds is sometimes completely different.
Yeah. All right, Schefter, outstanding. Thank you, my man, and we'll see you a little bit later as we continue. Let me bring RC and Neek back into the conversation. You hear all of that. Again, you can be as surprised, relatively surprised as you wish to be about all of this. I feel all along as though the narrative has been Tua is risky but spectacular. Are you willing to take the risk? Ryan, will you be surprised, very surprised, if Justin Herbert winds up going off the board before Tua?
No, well, first of all, I'm not going to be surprised because Adam, Mel, and Laura said it might happen. I mean, when those people get together and start talking about where people are going to go in the draft, they're usually pretty correct. But on the other side of it, it's like people get scared, and it just depends on what side you fall on. Where does your fear factor lie? Is your fear in maybe missing out on a generational talent at the quarterback position, or is your fear that that generational talent may never be available? And whatever side of that line you fall on is going to dictate how you make this pick. And if you're the Miami Dolphins and you think that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be all that people say that he is, it's going to be difficult to pass on him. And if you're not like Domonique, and if you're not like me, and you think Justin Herbert can be just as good, then that will be an easier selection because you don't have the injury risk or the injury issues. And so for me, it's going to be a pick that night that no matter which way it goes, I will probably understand it. But knowing going forward in 5 years, if Tua Tagovailoa is the left-handed Drew Brees, as Mel Kiper said he could be or will be earlier, you're going to know that you really messed up at that pick.
Nick, I don't know how much of a difference things like this make, but when you have the people surrounding Tua saying the things, a guy like Trent Dilfer coming out and saying he throws the ball like Marino, he throws the ball like Rodgers, they're showing you all of this video, which obviously they can show you whatever pieces of it they choose to show, and they did that workout. I mean, how do you think that factors into all of this?
I don't think it matters, at least for the Dolphins. I think it's something that we all pay attention to, and I'm certainly skewed by it, but it seems that Chris Greer down there in Miami, they don't seem to care what any of us think as they went into last season in a way that I thought was like they were setting up the tank. They ended up not really tanking, but they seem to have a good idea on what they're doing, so it'll be hard to be critical of any decision that they make because they seem to have a decent track record so far, but I still feel like this is just subterfuge. Greeny, there's that word again. It just feels like they want Tua to fall into their lap without having to trade up, and they want people to believe that maybe they're more into Herbert to stop any team, maybe the Chargers or anybody else, from jumping above them. Like, I think Tua is by far the guy that everyone wants, is the guy that they've wanted for a couple of years, and I will be shocked if both Tua and Herbert are there and the Dolphins get an opportunity and they're going to go away from Tua and go with Herbert, who projects to be a guy with a lot of talent but has never really put it all together to the degree that people want, because he was supposed to come out last year and he had to go back in the draft because people were not impressed enough with his ability to play.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.